All right, so this is swordis.com, a pretty new storefront for buying swords. And they reached out to me and asked if I was interested in getting a review sample from them and also including in that review kind of an overview of their website and how to go about ordering a sword from them. So that's what this is. I have $500 to spend on whatever I want from the store, and they're going to cover it. That's a review sample. And in return, like I said, I'm going to just give you my thoughts on the website as I'm going through it. So I've been on this website once or twice before, just kind of to look around very briefly without really looking at shopping in mind, just so I know what they're about, what the website is like. First thing I want to say is that they are also the runners of Sword Encyclopedia, which they've kind of rebranded as the blog for Swordis. And this is not a website I've spent a lot of time on, but I know they've put a lot of work into it. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know at one point I have read some inaccuracies on here, but at the same time they have a lot of good information on here. So it's one of those things that always get multiple sources on anything anyways. One of the things I noticed when I went to the website, it doesn't look like there is a way to create an account that I'm seeing anywhere. I don't know if it's going to do that when I go to checkout or what. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. So, like I said, I have $500 to play with here. And this will give you an idea of how I go about shopping for swords also, and some swords that I am interested in that I have not yet bought. Because Swordis, I should have said this right up front, they are not a maker. They partner with a variety of makers and offer those brands. In fact, they have a list of their brands right here, it looks like. So you can see Apoc, Citadel, Dragon King, Hanwei. So they are clearly a distributor, or not a distributor, but a storefront for Kaz Iberia. But then they also have some other interesting things here, like they have Taisuki, they have Zisei, which is that's a new one to me. I haven't seen Zisei sold anywhere other than Zisei and then Shadow Dancer. And I think, yeah, they also will do Jakku and Hanban. So they have a bigger selection than I would expect of, and some brands that are not typically seen on other storefronts. Now, I should say my impression of this website is that they are a drop shipper. I don't think they are stocking the swords themselves. I think they are placing the orders with the companies and then being shipped there. So kind of acting like a middleman. That's pretty normal in the sword business. There's not very many stores that stock actual swords. I can really think of off the top of my head, Kult of Athena doesn't really do drop shipping. Age of Chivalry has all the swords in stock, I believe, and Therian Arms doesn't do drop shipping either. All three of those maintain stock, but that's about it, I think. So let's take a look at what they have available. Think about that $500 budget. I'll probably add a bunch of stuff to the cart and start dropping it down. And this will give you an idea of how this website works and how what kind of stuff they have on offer. So I'm going to start with my favorite, which is European swords. So they have two-handed, one-handed, and hand and a half. I don't really want to browse like that. So let's look at this a different way. I don't really like to browse by sword type unless I'm specifically searching for a two-handed sword or a single-handed sword. Real swords, the different cultures. Okay, so battle ready, tactical, training, HEMA, decorative, and LARPing. So let's look at battle ready swords. And I just thought another store that I believe does do a lot of stocking is RVA Katana. I don't want to leave them out. They do that. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at stuff that's in stock. And like I said, my hunch is that this is stock of the company that's supplying it. So let's see how many. That's 192. Let's start cutting this down some. Look at that. They have Shadow Dancer also. Okay, not something I'm particularly interested in. Windless, Ronin Katana. Let's look at Hanwei. Oh, let's look at arming swords. I don't really want to look at just arming swords. So we've got the Oxtail Dao. I reviewed one of these. The Mercenary, the Hand and Half Practical, the Lowlander, the Banshee. Yeah, they've got a good number of options. Okay, so here's one that, this is a sword I've been interested in getting at some point. Looking at this price, that looks to me like, I believe this 452 is Cas Iberia's price if you want to order directly from them. And then this is much more of the normal price for a retailer, but that's still a little bit higher than I've seen elsewhere. You can usually, or I can usually find this sword when it's in stock. It's not in stock that often, but I can usually find this sword at around 320, usually either at Kult of Athena or the SBG, the Sword Buyer's Guide store. So this price, while it's a little bit higher, it's pretty normal for people who drop ship from Cas Iberia to be a little bit higher than, say, Cult of Athena. They've got some katanas. They've got their L6 Bay Knight, not something I'm particularly interested in. The Rhinelander, this is definitely a sword I am interested in, and 280 is not a bad price. Again, a little higher than you can sometimes find it, but that's not bad. I'm going to just go ahead and add that to the cart, because that's one that I have been very interested in. That doesn't mean I'm going to pick it right now, but at least look at it. Second page. I did not mean to click on that. They've got the Tactical Katana at 300. That's not a bad price. Okay, so that's Hanwei's selection. They've got a decent number of stuff there. Let's look at a few other brands. Kingston Arms. So I've got this one I'm already going to be reviewing. This is a sword I have been interested in picking up and maybe picking up and buying and reviewing at some point. I'm not sure. Kingston Arms doesn't have the best reputation for sharpness, and with this large of a sword, I don't want to buy it and to then have to ship it to somebody to sharpen it. So it's one of the reasons I've been hesitant to actually pull the trigger on it, because Kingston Arms their sharpness is not that great. So here's an interesting one. Their Katzbauger at $295. That is not a bad price for this sword. Once again, though, Kingston Arms sharpness, kind of iffy. Let's take a look at Hanban Forge. This is probably not going to be their custom stuff. They are working, Swordis is working on a custom katana builder where you can, I believe, select from multiple forges, multiple sources. They are working on that. It's going to be going live later this year, I believe, and I believe I'm going to be able to do a full build and receive a sword and do a review on that as well. But for now, it's that custom builder is not actually done yet. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So they list this as a Nagamaki. That hilt looks a little too short to me for a Nagamaki. I would say it needs to be about the same length as the blade. But this looks like, generally speaking, Hanban's typical inventory. And actually, that brings up a good question. So if it's Hanban's typical inventory, let's see if we can find it. So no Nagamaki, interesting. Do they have? They do have a SKU, but I bet you that's not gonna. No, they listed as a Naginata here, and the same exact price. That's good to know. So they're charging the same price as Hanban. So you're not getting penalized for going through Swordis as opposed to going directly through Hanban. And it does say free delivery too, that's good. All right, let's move on from Hanban. Dragon King. So there's a few Dragon King katana I've had my eye on before, and it doesn't look like they have any of them. I really like the Winter Sun design that Dragon King has. Guess they don't actually have it in stock at least. Citadel? Okay, just small things that I wouldn't really be interested in. APOC. So there are some APOC swords that I am interested in. The survival katana, the long sword. Do I have the long sword here? Yes, they do. Again, prices are a little bit higher than you can find if you go shopping around. Again, the Sword Buyer's Guide store oftentimes has APOC at a pretty good price. Let's go ahead and look at Windlass. I don't expect to find much that I would want here, but you never know. Yeah, I'm not seeing much that I personally find interesting here. Oh, okay, so now this is interesting. The Landjade sword, 835. I don't know why it's so expensive on Swordis, but this shows why you really want to shop around. You can get this for, I believe it's around 450 to 500 from museum replicas. So, yeah, shop around on pretty much anything you're looking for. That's not a slight on Swordis. That's just good common sense. So one thing I'm kind of curious about, let's look at stuff that's not in stock currently. I kind of want to see Zisei. I'm curious. Yeah, okay. So these are the full prices also. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. It's kind of cool that they have a working relationship with Zisei. That's not something, like I said, that I've seen before. Take a look at Ronin Katana. There are 15 swords in stock. Looks like a variety of some of their katana, some of their Euro swords, Tonto. Gen 2 Legacy Arms, not a company that I have ever really been that interested in. Looks like these are the newer models. Legacy Arms has recently released some newer sword models, and this looks to me like the newer models. This specific one is one of their newer models, I believe. What is... Okay. Looks like some kind of machete. Not something I'm going to be interested in. Dragon King Epoch. Right, that is... All right, so what I'm seeing here, the best options here are Hanwei. They have a good selection here of interesting swords. Or, let's see, we have the Rhinelander in here right now, so at 280. I wonder, can I get away with buying? Can I get away with buying 2? That'd be interesting. I don't really want European. How did I get to just swords in general? I think I did battle ready swords. Okay. In stock. Wonder if I could do something like an APOC and the Rhinelander, or maybe the Kawwood. I do like the idea of the Kawwood. It's a beautiful sword. It has a great reputation as well. How much was the Kawwood again? 362. That would make it a little tough, I think, to get any of the APOC. But the Rhinelander at 280 means I could probably get this into, get something else, like maybe the longsword or the katana. Let's go with, let's see if I have enough to get the longsword. So that gets us up to 474, which isn't too bad. I'm going to put in my promo code here and black it out so that you can't see it. No, no offense. All right, looks like I'm going to be paying for shipping, which isn't too bad. I believe they said they would reimburse me for shipping on this also. Not that it really particularly matters. I still don't see a way to create an account. All right. You're definitely going to be seeing some stuff blurred out here because I don't need to put this out in the world. Normal shipping. All right, so payment options. It looks like it's just credit cards. I don't see PayPal, which is interesting. Usually you would, honestly, most websites will do PayPal these days, but looks like not the case here. And yeah, absolutely absolutely nothing for creating an account, which is kind of interesting. You don't really see that very often in sword stores, but it looks like this is a pretty easy checkout process. I'm not going to even risk typing my credit card information in here and blurring it out. I don't need to make any risks there. But that was a pretty quick look at the overall process of browsing through some in-stock swords and taking it through to checkout. If you're interested in Swordis, go ahead and check them out. I'll put a link in the description, of course. And keep an eye out for more videos featuring swords from them. All right, a few days later, and I have got the shipment. And when I say a few days, I'm actually really impressed. I placed the order for these swords Monday evening, and they arrived on Thursday. That's from Tennessee to California. That's pretty quick shipping. Now, the packing slip here shows that I was right, and this is indeed drop shipped from Cas Iberia. I don't know if you can read that, but this is the Cas Iberia packing information. So I was correct. These are drop shipped. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, just something to know about Swordis. So I figure I might as well unbox these and give you very, very simple first impressions. Honestly, my first impressions is that shipping was very quick, but again, that was from Cas Iberia, not necessarily from Swordis. Just simple packing paper, and then we got 2 boxes with 2 different swords. This would be the APOC longsword, obviously. Warning, this product is very sharp. I'll be the judge of that. So the packing here is pretty basic. These styrofoam bits are taped in there, but the sword's not moving that much. It's moving a little bit. Could be a little bit better packed, but it seems okay. We have a little APOC sticker. Don't know that I'll ever use that, but maybe I'll toss it on the rifle case that I transport my cutting swords when I'm going to a cutting competition. So here is the APOC Survival Longsword. Never had a Kydex sheath before. Seems pretty decent. Interesting. I think that's the best way to put it. It definitely doesn't immediately feel like a longsword because it doesn't have the hilt construction of a longsword, but it doesn't seem too bad. I do kind of want to test the edge. It says it is very sharp. Let's put that to the test. So that's not too bad. That was definitely some tearing rather than just cutting, but it's not too bad for a production sword. All right, that is the APOC longsword. Let's see about getting the Rhinelander out now. It's a considerably bigger box. We got another ad for APOC, and then also an ad for the Hanwei Tactical Katana, Wakizashi, and Tanto. And more. It's good to be king, Dragon King. And then some little postcard style advertisement. Caution. The contents of this package are very sharp and can cause injury. Please exercise care during unpacking. Once again, I'll be the judge of that sharpness. And here we have worse packing. You can see it's kind of loosened here, and both sides of the box, the quillins have punched through. So this could really be a lot better secured in the box. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with a more mass manufacturer like Hanwei, I tend to find their packaging is not as good as when people produce individual products. No ads in this box. This is just the typical Cass Hanwei made in Dalian, China. So, this is the Rhinelander. Interesting. It's got quite a bit of weight in the hilt due to that ring, kind of chunky guard. Got a good amount of weight to the blade also. Let's see how, you know, if you're going to put on your box that the edges, that the contents are very sharp, I'm going to put that to the test. This seems like it might be less sharp. So it really didn't cut out here, a little too close to a little too far back. I want to try that one more time. Okay, so it can bite into the edge, but just even looking at it, I can tell that it's kind of it's a thin edge, that's for sure, but it could be refined a little bit more. It's kind of to be expected, again, on a production sword. And especially with one thing that Hanwei does is not zero bevel, but one smooth bevel. They don't do a secondary bevel and then, do a thick edge and then resharpen it to produce a secondary bevel. But it could definitely use to be stropped. I can, just looking like this and seeing the edge, I can see how rough the sharpening is. It could really use a higher polish and especially a stropping. But that's pretty much all I have for this video. I walked you through the process of ordering. It only took 3 days from time of order placed to received, which is really quick. And, you know, it's drop shipped from Hanwei. At least these ones are drop shipped from Hanwei. I imagine pretty much most of the Swordis' stuff, most of the stuff they sell is probably going to be drop shipped. Maybe some of when they start doing the custom katana, where you can start really, from what I understand, pulling in from multiple companies, that may not be. I don't really know, but it is another storefront to give your attention. They will have sales at times, I'm sure, and they will have different stock than other stores. And their customer service seems pretty good. When I placed the order, like I said, it shipped the next day. That's quick. That's quicker than other drop shippers that I have experience with. So that at least does give them a leg up. But that's pretty much all I have for this video. So until next time, Alien 2 out.